This story is based on reported courtroom testimony from Day 5 of the federal trial involving Sean Diddy Combs. It is presented for educational and entertainment purposes only. The source of the testimony is Inner City Press. Cassie Ventura spoke under oath and gave disturbing details about what she allegedly saw underneath Diddy's mansion. Her words did not focus on music, fame, or their toxic relationship. They pointed to something far more disturbing. Cassie described secret rooms, strange rituals, and women who appeared to be trapped. Some descriptions have been edited to follow YouTube's rules, but the most important parts remain. Cassie's words during cross-examination shocked the courtroom and may expose the darkest secrets behind one of the most chilling celebrity trials in recent memory. What Cassie claimed was hidden underneath Diddy's mansion might finally be uncovered. Day 5 of the trial began with a strange energy. Reporters arrived earlier than usual. The seats filled quickly, and even the jury seemed more focused. There was a heavy feeling in the room. Everyone knew why. Cassie was returning to testify. Unlike the earlier days that had been full of legal procedures, this day felt different. Something serious was expected. Cassie walked in quietly, protected by security, and sat across from Diddy's defense team. She looked drained but calm. The judge reminded everyone that order must be maintained. Then the questioning began. The defense shifted their strategy. They ignored Cassie's relationship with Diddy and instead asked her to describe his Los Angeles mansion. They wanted details about the layout, the design, and the security features. At first, it seemed like a random line of questioning, until one key question changed everything. "Miss Ventura," the lawyer asked, "have you ever been underneath the house, inside the tunnel?" The room went quiet. The prosecution objected, calling the question irrelevant and speculative, but the judge allowed it. Cassie took a breath. "Yes," she answered. That single word changed the atmosphere. For months, people online had whispered about tunnels. There were rumors, threads, and strange jokes, but nobody had ever confirmed them. Until now. "What exactly did you see?" the defense asked. "I didn't want to go," Cassie began. "He told me to follow him. He said there was something he wanted to show me. He was high. I was confused, but I followed him." She explained that the entrance was not inside the house but outside, hidden near the pool and disguised with plants. It looked like a natural slope, but beneath the leaves was a secret hatch. What she saw after that haunted her. She described concrete stairs and heavy steel doors. The deeper they went, the colder it became. She immediately knew this was not a panic room or a security feature. It was something else. She paused, but everyone knew something terrifying was coming. Her voice stayed calm. That made the story more unsettling. She spoke like someone who had practiced telling this truth over and over again in her mind. She described a hallway with plain walls and bright white lights. There was a constant mechanical hum in the background. It felt more like a lab or an institution than a home. The walk was confusing. There were no windows and no cell signal. Diddy walked ahead, speaking to himself. He mumbled about proving something. Cassie thought about leaving, but didn't. He gave her a look that told her not to argue. They went through a locked door. He used a keypad to open it. Inside was a room unlike anything she had ever seen. Red lights, cameras in every corner, leather furniture. There was a strange smell. Chemicals? Sweat. Something else she could not explain. This room was not made for rest or entertainment. It had a purpose, and that purpose felt dark. She described shelves stacked with items, masks, ropes, oils, costumes made of latex. There was a rack of clothes that looked brand new, Mirrors were placed on the ceiling and floor. Soundproof padding covered the walls. She said nothing about the room felt like a fantasy. It felt like a place built to take control. The defense pushed her again. "Did you ever see other people down there?" She hesitated, then answered, "Yes." She said she saw two women. Both wore wigs and masks. One lay still on a couch. The other sat by a tripod that held a camera. Neither spoke. They barely moved. Diddy called them performers. Cassie was not introduced. When asked how long she stayed, Cassie said she made an excuse to leave. "I told him I felt sick." She ran back upstairs and locked the bedroom door. Hours later, Diddy came in. He told me I didn't see anything, that I couldn't say anything, that the place was for him, not for me. That was the only time she went into the tunnel. But she never forgot. When asked about the rest of the underground layout, Cassie described more rooms. One was pitch black with chains hanging from the walls. Another had a mirror and a strange digital screen next to the bed. She didn't know what it controlled. The last room had nothing but a chair and a box full of wires. Cassie told him she wanted to leave. He just laughed. He said she wasn't ready, that it was too real for her. But then he said something that made her blood run cold. He whispered, "This is where I bring the ones I own." Cassie also recalled hearing strange sounds behind one of the closed doors. At first, she thought it was music, but it was not. It was voices, muffled. She never found out who was inside. She did not want to know. That night, she returned to the main house trembling. Her clothes smelled like the tunnel for hours. In court, she admitted that she never told a soul, not family, not friends. "Because I felt like if I spoke, I would disappear," she said, "like those girls in the room." The prosecution asked her why she chose to speak now. Her answer was clear. "Because it's not just about me anymore. Because he's still doing it. And if someone else ends up there and doesn't come back..." Her voice trailed off. The judge paused the hearing, but no one in the courtroom moved, because what she said was not just testimony. It was a warning. After the break, the court shifted focus. The questions turned to what happened in the mansion itself. The defense tried to say Cassie agreed to everything. They brought up the term freak-offs, which had been found in old text messages between Cassie and Diddy. At first, it sounded playful, but now the court would hear what it truly meant. A freak-off was a planned event, Cassie explained. It always involved sex. Sometimes there were strangers. Sometimes we were filmed. He gave people roles to play. He gave instructions. Sometimes drugs were required. The jury was shown messages. In one, Diddy wrote, "Game starts at 10 p.m. No breaking character until 8 a.m. Another read, "Bring candles. Wear a wig." Cassie said these events happened often. Some were last minute. Others were scheduled weeks in advance. His staff arranged everything. She admitted she sometimes agreed. But, she added, agreeing while on drugs is not consent. She said she was usually high. "Sometimes I couldn't remember anything the next day." The prosecutor asked if any of these events happened inside the tunnel. Cassie swallowed. Yes. She described one night in particular. She was told to wear a latex suit and not speak at all. If she broke character, she would be punished. There were strangers in the room. He never gave names. He told me to trust him. A message from Diddy was entered into evidence. It read, "This time, I want control." No safe word. Cassie said she no longer felt like she owned her own body. Afterward, I felt empty, like I didn't know who I was. She deleted videos and photos afterward, not because she was embarrassed, but because she was scared. She feared something worse could happen if she spoke. Next, the court discussed drugs. The prosecution asked what substances were involved. Cassie replied, opiates, MDMA, benzos, weed, but mostly pills I didn't ask for. She said Diddy or his team handed them to her. He said they would help me relax, but they made me foggy and easy to control. She remembered waking up once on the floor of his Miami home. She was covered in sweat. A camera light was still on. I don't know how I got there. I don't know who was in the room. She started to believe Diddy was recording her. At first I thought he just said things to scare me, but then I saw a video. She only saw it once. It was on his laptop. It showed her with two men. She did not remember the event. She begged him to delete it. He told me, I keep everything for leverage. Cassie said his control extended beyond sex. If she left the house without checking in, he would call non-stop. If she ignored him, he threatened to destroy her career. She believed he told people in his circle not to sell her drugs anymore. He said I was stealing, but really, he was cutting off everything outside of himself. He wanted me dependent. She said she tried to get help at a luxury rehab that looked like a spa. But he found out. He showed up and told the staff she was just being dramatic. She left the next day. Cassie said she tried to quit pills more than once. But I couldn't. Not with him in my life. The next set of questions was about whether she was the only one. Cassie shook her head. There were other women, she said, during freak-offs. Some were escorts. Some I didn't know. Some were celebrities. They came in cars. Sometimes they were crying. Sometimes they wore masks. She named Tiffany Red, a friend who saw things and warned her. She told me it wasn't right. I didn't listen. The court mentioned a letter Tiffany later published. It called out Diddy. Cassie confirmed that Tiffany tried to speak out, but was silenced. When asked if any staff witnessed the events, Cassie said yes. His assistants helped set things up. They knew who was coming. They cleaned up after. I don't know how much they knew, but they weren't blind. She told a story about one assistant walking in during a private moment. He just said, "Sorry, boss." Then he left. The defense argued none of this proved a crime. But Cassie replied, it was never about sex. It was about power. He needed to feel untouchable. Why didn't she come forward sooner? Her answer was clear. Because nobody would believe us. Because he's Diddy. But now, she said, others were ready to talk too. The prosecution then asked about physical violence. Did he ever hit you? They asked. Cassie nodded. Many times. She described early signs. Grabbing her wrist, shoving her during fights. He always apologized, but it never stopped. They showed a photo of her with a cut above her eye. She said it happened after he accused her of cheating. She wasn't. He was drunk and paranoid. She said he once kicked her in the back after reading a text from Kid Cudi. We had dated briefly during a break. He couldn't let it go. She said he punished her even after they broke up. He sent threats through friends, made her feel watched. Then she said something that shook the room. One night, he threw me off a boat in the Caribbean, said I was dead weight. I swam to shore. Then I went back to him. A juror looked visibly shaken. The judge paused the session again. But it was clear the damage had been done. This was no longer about suggestions or rumors. It was real. It was violent. It left marks. The final part of her testimony was about the Intercontinental Hotel. The prosecutor asked, "This was the night before your movie premiere, correct?" "Yes," Cassie said. She said she was proud of the film. But Diddy had other plans. He pressured her into another freak off. He said it would help us reconnect, that it was tradition. She didn't want to, but she gave in. She didn't want to fight the night before her red carpet event. She arrived at the hotel expecting a quiet night. Instead, 2 women and a male dancer were already there. There were candles, cameras. She was given a pill. He said it would help her relax. She took it. She remembered pieces. A dancer in a mask. Diddy filming. Her reflection in the mirror. Slurring words she didn't remember saying. Then, nothing. She woke up alone. Her phone had a message from him. "You were amazing. I'm proud." She had no idea what he meant. She got dressed, put on makeup, and smiled for the cameras that day. No one knew. No one saw the bruises hidden under the gown. Later, texts showed him asking if she was still glowing, if she wanted to do it again. She never responded. That was the last straw. The next morning, she flew to New York, alone. He didn't follow. For the first time in years, she felt like she could breathe. She said she tried to heal. At first, she acted like it never happened. She told people they simply grew apart. But she started therapy. And the memories came back. So did the fear. Then she filed the civil lawsuit. It was settled fast. But to Cassie, it wasn't about money. It was about truth. I needed a record. Proof that I wasn't imagining any of it. Her story opened the door for others. More women spoke up. New complaints were filed. The FBI raided Diddy's homes. What they found remains secret. But rumors say there were files, devices, and maybe even proof of those tunnels. Cassie refused interviews. "I didn't want to be a symbol. I just wanted freedom." But now she was in court, telling everything under oath. When asked what she hoped would come from all this, she answered quickly. "Accountability, not just for me, but for every woman who walked through those doors, for every girl who went into those tunnels and never got the chance to speak." And with that, the judge dismissed the jury. Cameras were not allowed inside, but the world already knew something massive had just happened. Cassie Ventura didn't just tell a story. She tore open a secret world built on fear, silence, and power.